Almost now. We're not waiting on this. Open the board up for the January 3rd, 2022 meeting. We'd like to thank everyone for being present and being a part of county government. Let you know that you're welcome. Moving forward, we'd like to open the meeting with a prayer. Supervisor Howard, would you offer prayer?
Sure. Would you bow your head, please? This morning, our Heavenly Father, we come thanking you for your many blessings. The Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us through 2021 and delivering us into 2022. The Heavenly Father, we pray that you will continue to bless and protect Octaville County and its people. The Heavenly Father, we pray for this board. We pray for your wisdom and we pray for your knowledge. We pray that the decisions that we make in this year will be, first of all, pleasing to you. And then, the Heavenly Father, we pray that those decisions will help the people of Octaville County. We continue to pray for our military soldiers that stand abroad for our freedom. Heavenly Father, we pray for our first responders. And the Heavenly Father, we pray that you will keep your hand on this board and guide us in the direction that you will have us to go. These and other blessings we ask in your Son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Supervisor Howard.
Yes, sir.
Moving forward, on the agenda today is to elect a board president. So that's the first thing on the agenda for today.
Before we do that, can we go into executive session before we make appointments to discuss a personnel matter before we do that? Would that be pleasing to the board?
That's a motion.
Yes.
Motion to go into executive session by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Miller. All in favor?
Question, that's after, that's when we get to the appointment, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, do we want to do it now or
Yeah.
after? Before we get to,
Looks
when we
like
get to
it's
the
before the
appointments?
appointment. Is it before the appointment or after? Is it now? If we go into it now, that's before the appointment.
I mean, we can go ahead and elect our president and vice president, but, I think it's appointments.
Okay.
Well,
Then we'll go into executive session.
Yes, sir, big
I
fine.
would like to
Then, president and vice president.
I would like to make a motion that we elect Brickley Miller as president of the board.
Second.
Second by, motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Trainer, that we elect Brickley Miller as the president of the board. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Go ahead.
You'll see.
You have to switch gears now.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
All in one.
Thank you. All right, now let's move forward with the vice president appointments.
I'd like to make a motion, we nominate Supervisor Marvell Howard. for vice president.
Before you carry that, I certainly appreciate your consideration, but I would like to respectfully decline to be vice president. I really would. I think we've got some capable members, to be vice president, including yourself, Supervisor Trey.
Well,
And it would be your turn in rotation, Supervisor Trainer. Certainly would.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah,
Supervisor
I'll
Trainer
second
to be
that.
vice president.
Got a motion and a second. Supervisor Trainer, all in favor?
We'll follow that rotation from vice president to president.
Correct.
You can if you want to, you ain't, but
I'm sorry.
Well, we good.
Okay.
I'll make a
Now-
motion now that, yes, we'll go into, executive session for personnel matter.
Second.
All in favor? Supervisor McCollum. I'm sorry. Sure.
We can move forward. if we want.
Okay, all right.
We can move ahead.
Well, you can let us know when that comes
Okay.
back live.
All right.
We came out of executive session, no action was taken. We will move down the agenda to appointments. The requested appointments: county administrator, board attorney, road manager, state aid engineer, LSBP, bridge, county engineer, emergency 911 director, fire coordinator, justice court clerk, and Veterans Affair coordinator. I have a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we appoint all positions except our Pitt-Hawk County engineer position, leave it vacant.
All right. Any,
I'll second that.
To leave an engineer position vacant?
Our Pitt-Hawk County engineer.
got a motion and a second on the table. Any discussion?
Should be off.
All in favor? All opposed? 4-1.
So I understand this motion is that state aid stays the same, is that correct?
That's correct.
And the bridge stays the same.
And Bridge
Bridge.
stays.
If he so chooses.
Now I need the acknowledgement of the appointments by the county administrator. We need to acknowledge those: controller, purchasing clerk, inventory clerk, and receiving clerk. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Have a motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Williams. All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. We move down to the board orders. This is from 2021, the last set of board orders. Do I have a motion to approve the board orders?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trainer, second by Montgomery. All in favor? Passes 5-0. I now open the board for citizen comment period. Is there anybody on the floor that has a comment? You have up to 3 minutes to stand before the board. Thank you, Mr. Seals. Glad to have you back to come see us
Thank you.
again.
Excuse me, I'm gonna lean on the chair right there if you don't mind. Just a quick comment. I understand the way the board meetings are set up.
Yes, sir.
And there may be a requirement that y'all do this, but right now you're asking for citizens' comment. I notice on the schedule, y'all are gonna talk about the dam. It sure would be nice if y'all would permit a second short comment section after we sit here and listen to the things that are presented.
Yes, sir. Acknowledge, anybody have a suggestion?
I just think that is more of a public comment, public hearing. And we're handling board business. We hadn't scheduled a public hearing. That's something completely different from citizens' comment. To open up to the public for comment section, that's public hearing.
Any other opinions on that?
I agree with Supervisor Howard. I think that once it's presented, they can always come back at subsequent meetings and respond to it if they need some additional time to respond to it. Especially if we're going to start our new year off and stay on schedule. Correct. I think that needs to be a priority, that we need to stay on schedule. And probably implementing Facebook Live will give people an opportunity to comment. And you can go back and read those comments at your leisure. If we would offer that, that would be my suggestion.
So we appreciate your comment, Mr. Seals, and, you know, that might be something that we might look at doing on the agenda. That has been one thing in the past that we have not been able to do, is stay on schedule. We seem to go a lot longer than the time periods that are allotted, but we certainly look at that. Knowing that you have spoken prior about, did you have any comments, or would you like to wait and hear the report from, do you have any?
Yeah, I'd like to
comments
hear
from-
the report, see
Sure.
what the report has to say.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I personally wouldn't have a problem giving Mr. Seals a minute or two after years information.
Yeah, I know that we have done
I'm
that
not
in the
saying
past too,
30
and letting
minutes.
some people come in and make things, and I appreciate you coming in, and, coming to the board meeting. We don't have a lot of participation from the citizens, and I think if we discourage them in any way, we may not have any more. Would that be okay for us to do that today, or how does the board feel about that?
Don't have an issue with it, but what you can do in the future is give the public all access to all the information you give us in the board pack. That way they will have it prior to the meeting. Whenever you assemble this for us, you can give it out to the public before I'm concerned, and they'll have it.
What, hard copies or?
Electronic.
Electronically.
This, we have a citizens comment period at the beginning of these meetings for citizens to make their comment. Now, you don't open these meetings up to public hearing. We've hired a firm to come in and do an assessment, and everybody had the opportunity to apply to be hired if they wanted to have comments and give recommendations. So that's my stance on it, and I think that's, if we're gonna start opening up after presentations to anybody who wants to speak, we'll be here all day. It's what'll happen.
I'll make a motion based off Supervisor Trainer's recommendation that, from now forward, that we scan in the material and somehow get that placed on social media or in an email form for the citizens to have prior to the meeting.
Who all of this responsibility is gonna fall to? I mean, we can sit here in these meetings and throw out suggestions after suggestions and never talk about increased responsibility, increased compensation.
But just, all you do is just scan this through and put it in a form for people. It doesn't take very long at all just to scan it through a printer. And anybody else feel like that the public needs to have the information ahead of time? Anybody else feel like the public needs to have the information ahead of time? Do they have it for the city?
They have an agenda.
Anybody else feel like that the public needs to have the documentation ahead of time? Motion fails without any second. All right, anybody else for citizen comment periods? Mr. Allen?
Thomas Allen with Cook Allen Community Surveyors. I like what y'all are proposing because that's exactly what the city does. And they post it on their website, and sometimes it's all 600-something pages. And I'm probably one of the few people that scans through there and picks out items that, I'd like to know more about. And if there was an engineering report, especially look at that. But, I'm not worried about the plain docket. I mean, that's usually 500 pages of it. So the first 50 pages is what you need to look at. But, I mean, city's doing that now. So, and y'all being so ahead of most counties, I would think the public would get
Benefit from that?
Really get benefit from that. So.
Thank you. Any other citizen comment? All right, we'll move forward to assessment changes. Ms. Cubon? Good morning.
Make a motion to approve the assessment changes. Second.
Motion made by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Trainer.
I do have a question.
Supervisor Howard.
Oh, I'm sorry, Supervisor Howard, I apologize.
I have a question. And I'm trying to understand it too. Some of these are duplicate assessments and some are calculation error. Does that mean those individuals be reimbursed for?
Well, if they paid the bill, we would have reimbursed the difference, but if they don't pay it, we just adjust the bill.
That's just the, okay, thank you.
You need to sign it.
Get a vote on that.
All in favor?
All right.
5-0.
Thank you, Steve.
Ms. Watson,
Keep on.
if you want to come up for
Good morning.
Fort County grant, good morning.
I got two grants I want to apply for.
we changed it last time for me to ask permission. So one is for Fort County, and I have sent, a draft of that. I'm still waiting on some quotes for some different items, but that's for some search and rescue equipment. And then our EMPG is the second one. Do I need to do two separate or one? You just want to put them together or two?
Needs to split them up.
Two separate ones, please.
Okay, so one, I guess, for the Fort County grant, so 5 to 30.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Trainer. Discussion, Supervisor Williams?
Who has the tax ID number for the grant? The county has the tax ID
Yeah,
number,
they
right?
do. That's
So
what I put on there.
whose name should be on line one and on line seven?
I copied it from when we done, the last time we applied for the grant was in 16, when we, moved and got new computers, and that's how they told me to do it then. It goes to the county though.
But
They
I
just
know
have to have a name of,
it says it must match the name associated with the tax ID number on line seven.
yeah,
So line seven and line one must match each other.
yeah. Everything that we ever done, I always just use the county's. I mean, I can change that if you want me to change it, and just put.
I say do it the way that you'll say do it.
Okay.
Yeah, say that it must match.
Okay, yeah, that's fine, I can take it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second and some discussion. All in favor? All right, the second grant, EMPG grant.
Yes, ma'am. So that's the emergency management performance grant. This is the one we apply for every year. This is about 40,000 reimbursement for emergency management activities.
Make the motion.
All in favor? Supervisor Montgomery, Supervisor Howard is the second on that. All in favor? Passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, y'all too.
Mr. Pritchard, update on state aid projects.
Good morning.
Good morning, all. Couple updates and reminders. Poorhouse Road is scheduled to accept bids on January 27th at 10 o'clock. There's been some question about the ribbon cutting at Blackjack. Mr. Lewis called me this morning, and I was able to get up with MSU. That is scheduled for February 4th at 2 p.m. Right now, they've asked me to board invite list. There's a couple of it in the board to turn in. I think Mr. Lewis on there. If there are other attendees, I need to let them know. A couple of
I think just send it to all of us. I think we all plan on trying to attend.
Okay, I have, two programs this morning. Program document for bridge number 60 in the county. That's on Sturgis West Point Road, that's in Supervisor Miller's district. And it is program document total estimated cost of the project, which includes engineering fees, $470,066.24. This program is set up for that project to be funded 100% from state aid funds.
Repeat that price again.
We've got it programmed at a total estimated cost of $470,066.24, all of which will be paid from state aid funds. I'll present that for review and acceptance from that board.
Motion we accept.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Williams. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Number 60.
That's bridge number 60, and it has a signature sheet in the back. I'll need signatures from each board member. All right, in similar fashion, I have bridge number 106. This is on Crawford Road, and actually that's the road that splits Mr. Joe and Mr. Orlando right there.
Well, that's really not true.
It's kind of on the
That's
line.
not true. That's Crawford Road. My road is split to separate our district is Old Crawford Road. So that's Crawford Road, that's all the way over to the Lowndes County, Occidental County line. So that's not in my district at all.
says beginning at the intersection of Chapel Hill, running south 0.26 miles, center line across the road to BOP, then it's north 678 feet. And in either event, it's, including engineering fees, the total cost of the project is programmed at $484,303.68, all of which to be paid through state aid funds. Present that for review and approval by the board.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by
No,
Supervisor,
sorry.
Howard. All in favor?
That will require signature.
Motion passed 5-0.
Okay. And when I receive it for signatures, we'll forward those to state aid. I also have, if you'll remember, this program has already gone to state aid, and it's being held pending, mostly action on these bridges, which you're taking. But this is a program that we sent in for Octok Road. And I need to know the board's intent on this, so I can inform state aid to act on this program.
Let's move.
Or would y'all like to revise this program to some other funding?
So the funding on the funding on that road is coming from,
I have it right here, you have $1 million from Senate Bill 2971. $1 million from Senate Bill 2971. The program is set up for state aid funds at $434,258. And then it has county funds in the amount of $229,767. And county funds at $199,683.
Well, if you change the program, I will get more state aid dollars because we do have more state aid dollars available now. So I don't mind moving forward. I don't mind moving forward with it and losing some state aid dollars. I guess is what I'm saying, because there are more state aid dollars available since that program was made up.
Well, that's my question to the board. After we take these bridges out,
Right.
your status of funds, your last status of funds was $1,856,042. If we subtract these two bridges, it leaves $901,672.08 in state aid funds.
before we do,
Before you do.
Octot.
Yeah. Now, if you do Octot like it is, like it's set up now, that leaves you $467,414.08 in state aid funds. Or you could elect to revise your funding of Octot.
I do have a question on that, on the remaining funds. Where does that leave Nathan Sturgis Road, which the gentleman right there said that it was the worst road he'd seen in all his years?
I don't have the program for Nathan Sturgis Young, so, but I think it was pretty similar. Okay, this is up to y'all.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Thank
motion
you
to
so
move
much.
forward. I know that I'm gonna lose some funding of state aid because there's more state aid available if we would go through the process of dividing it. But we're not gonna do that, so I'm gonna motion to move forward, losing money to move forward with that existing program. That's my motion.
Just like it is.
I got a question, I do got a question, and, we just had this big, long discussion about where funds should be placed, the more places that's needed most. But my question is this: you've got, grant money, you've got state aid money, you've got county money. Does your county money come from your 4-year road plan money? Where is the county, and is there matching funds on this? Where is the county money?
County money, Mr. Howard.
Okay,
Is with 4-year road plan.
Okay.
It come out, either out of 4-year road plan, or it could come out of the bond money. That's still, at this stage, that's still county money. And I would think that I would get some bond money.
Yeah, I would too.
I would think so.
I would think you would.
So, I want you to keep in mind too, that District 5 has not had a bridge I know you all said that, well, you are not getting any state aid dollars. Well, you might not be getting state aid dollars for roads, but you are getting state aid dollars for bridges. So one way or the other, you got state aid dollars going into your district. But keep in mind that District 5 has not received any bridge money. But everyone else on this table, I believe, have received some bridge money. So don't kick it around too much. I'm trying to get Up Top Road done. Why don't we move forward?
Well-
Move forward and get that behind us, and then we figure out a way to, help John, if that's the case, to get, that road done, over in his district. But now we have this program. We don't need to keep putting this behind us. Because we're gonna have $1 million if we're not careful. We'll have $1 million to go back to the state as a gift. We don't want a gift to go back. So I say just move forward. This is already done. If you try to change the program, it's gonna take probably another year or more, something like that, to get it done, so.
Supervisor Williams, what's your motion?
My motion is move forward the existing proposal coming from, Mr. Klein.
If I could just clarify, because I have two numbers for the county a while ago. You have $1 million from the Senate bill. This program sets up for $434,258 in state aid money. And it sets up for $429,450 total county money.
That's the
So
story.
what's the balance if you remove that state aid
If we
money?
remove that, I show a balance, I did the calculations for you this morning, I show a balance if we include just like it is, of state aid money remaining to be programmed at $467,414.08.
Question, on that number, what would that leave Maven Sturgis Road at?
That's all the state aid, bro.
Huh?
That would be all the state aid money.
No, there would be that's what
It's
he's saying.
$467,414 and change
Would be the
left in
balance.
state aid money. If we approve Octot just like this.
So both of us be getting some state
Well,
aid money to do our project.
but I'll
We
say-
have another project that is shovel ready for state aid. Are we
Yeah, I
holding
got
on to state aid money?
I've got one.
For the sake of holding on to it?
The bridges, see.
Yeah, I've got
But the
one.
bridges, you can't help if a bridge goes out. That's a little different than a road.
We also programmed a project for you and you, both of which had some state aid money, some county money. I don't have those with me this morning, but you've got $467,414 left.
So here it is,
You see what I mean?
facing us right now, we got to decide, what do you wanna do?
I mean,
Do
what
you fight
road,
for
what road does he
your
have?
portion? Do I fight for my portion? Or what do this board wanna do?
What road does he have programmed?
Why don't we
What's
finally
Maven
get,
Bell?
why don't
Yeah,
we
it's
finally
Maven Bell.
get Up Top Road done? We've been kicking this around all this term with some gift money. Why don't we finally get this behind us? And then we can decide on from there, what can we do from here? We don't wanna reprogram that. Let's go with the existing program, and then you can come back and decide on what you wanna do with Maven Sturgis Road. But we don't need to keep holding this road up.
I second motion.
Got a motion and a second? Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you,
I
Judge.
don't know, Rob, that I need anything on that, because we've already set a program and a board order. I just need to let Harry Lou know that we want to proceed with that as is.
Let me know what you need, we'll make sure we get, if something pops up, but we'll go ahead and do the regular board orders like we typically
All
do.
right.
Just make
You
sure.
know what?
What I'm telling you, I
Ain't
can
no
tell you,
choice.
and I just tell you what, I'm gonna do.
Each of you have a program that's sitting in limbo right now, depending on what you do with this 467.
We're the limbo brothers.
All right, by way of further update, Harold Road Bridge, we finally made contact with Wildlife and Fisheries, that's been waiting on one letter from them, we think we'll get that in this week.
Who bridge is that?
That's Harold Bridge.
He can't help a bridge though.
I know, but that's still state aid dollars.
It don't matter.
State
I don't
dollars.
look at a
Same
bridge.
thing,
He
Same
can't help a bridge going
thing,
out.
dollars.
Harris Bridge, which is in Mr. Joe's district, y'all, is already programmed, we're designing that one right now. I will remind you that it is programmed totally with county funds. $700 and something thousand, I believe. You have in your LSBP account right now, $673,601 available.
You want that?
I'm gonna tell you about that bridge.
Do you want that?
If you don't do it, the
So you
bridge
get, so
gonna.
you get two projects now?
Okay, you
We
wanna
can
ask
have-
that, you ask me a question, right? May I respond?
Not really, not
May I
really.
respond?
Let's move forward.
If you don't, and I tell the general public, if you don't replace that bridge, it gonna fall in. Cause I rolled over it just yesterday, and it now it got a big lump in it where it started, you probably need
I
to
believe
ride
it.
over too. Now, it got a big lump
We,
in it.
we are
it's about to
designing that
fall
bridge
in.
now, but it is being designed totally with county funds. I'm just saying there's an opportunity to, should this board elect, to transfer LSBP funds to that project. And do it with LSB as opposed to
I
your
don't
county
doubt
dollars.
the bridge bad, it's probably no better than the one on Howard Road, so, you know what I mean?
Yeah, can't help a bridge.
Okay. All right,
You need action on that?
I'm just,
Do we need to
I'm just
move
making
on?
a comment. If
I
that's,
motion for approval to continue with the program of Harris Road Bridge,
With what funding?
county fund.
okay.
We got a motion, to approve the Harris Road Bridge with county funds. Do we have a second on this, please?
Leave it like it is.
Got a second by Supervisor Trainer?
Question, so if we put, why would we not put LSB funds on it? That would be the wise move. He just gave us the recommendation.
Because there was just a discussion about it, and I guess Supervisor Williams was backing out the other way, I don't know.
Well,
Tell me a reason why. we
The other
wouldn't.
one would be Harold Road Bridge, right? Couldn't the LSVP money be
No,
used for
that money's
that?
already allocated.
That road,
Yeah,
that's
that's
already
already-
allocated though.
Okay.
we don't have any LSBP.
We have $673,601 of LSPP
Right.
money laying out there now doing nothing.
Okay,
So
well,
you
let's
want
do
to put that
something
on
with
Harris
it.
Bridge?
Let's do something with it. if we're not doing anything.
Do we want to
Can we
modify the
amend
motion?
To put the balance of the LSBP
Yeah.
towards the Harris Road Bridge.
That will have me revise the program, which is no big deal, to show it, rather than county funds, show $673,601 LSPP.
And so that'll free
With the remaining.
With the remainder
So the
of
county funds that are freed up, then we can,
That will free up $673,000
So you need to keep a
county
tally
money.
of what we do.
Then, yeah.
Okay, we got a motion on the table to revise the program for Harris Bridge, using the LSVP money that was at 671. We got a mo-
673,601.
641.
601.
673,601. We got a motion and a second by, anybody got a second on that? Did we, Supervisor Montgomery seconds that? Got a motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery, all in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I brought to you this morning, I know it came up last time about this permit for ceasefire along Blackjack. I had already signed this, since I'm not your county engineer now, but I'd already signed it. But actually, the form says county or LSPP. So y'all want something to review, this is actual permit. And
Leave it for our county engineer.
here's copies of the plan. So
Thank you.
I can, y'all want this?
Question, backing up on what we just discussed, can you take those county dollars that were just freed up and look at the Maven Sturgis Road and the Maven Bell Schoolhouse Road to see how that would check out for,
With all this
Those two
done, we
projects.
can look at what y'all got left, the raise money left, and how you would like to revise those two programs to go forward.
can you get that back to us on those two projects?
Yeah, I mean, I can't do it for lunch.
No. I mean, by next meeting or whatever.
Yeah.
But you did say this is LSVP or county.
The signature line says county or LSBP.
Okay.
But there's permits coming into my office routinely. Do you want me to handle them, or you want somebody
Well,
else to handle
it
them?
says LSVP, you're still the LSVP engineer.
That's up to y'all. It says one.
Well,
of
that's
them.
what we appointed you was LSVP and state aid, so you still are the LSVP engineer.
understand that. I didn't know whether the LSBP engineer to sign them or your county engineer to sign them.
You, LSBP, thank you.
All right, in that same light, the prompt supervisor sign this. I'll just need a board order to go.
We never
with
get
this.
I need a board order for the
See that
ceasefire.
back to the Lord, if you don't mind.
Second.
We got a Supervisor Montgomery, Trainer, the second. All in favor?
All right, last
Passes
item.
5-0.
Last item I have is that the prompt of Supervisor Williams. I spoke with Travis Carpenter about the FLAP application, Federal Land Access Program, which we understand is a grant that would work on, some call it Skinner, some call it Bluff Lake. It's from the end of October to the Bluff Lake tie-in. So, given my current status, I don't know that that'll be a state aid or LSPP or what, but I have an appointment with Mr. Carpenter in the morning. So would y'all like for me to participate on that project or not?
It depends on which hat you wear.
hat?
If it's the county engineer, you can't.
Well, I don't know.
I'd like for you to, I'd like the board commission to have you to hold on your participation on that project. Seeing that, according to Mr. Carpenter, he might not need any, diagrams or any outstanding plans or anything like that initially, that he might come back to you for information later. But for what he needs now is a basic estimate on how much it's gonna cost to go into the grant.
That's right.
So that's what he needs now.
And I spoke to him this morning,
Right.
and I agreed to meet with him tomorrow to help him put that estimate together, but as of now,
And I think Mr. Baggett can provide that estimate.
I'll let him know I'll not be there. That's all I got.
Motion to acknowledge, Mr. Pritchard's reports. Supervisor Montgomery, Supervisor Trainer, thank you.
Can you get us?
All in favor?
Can you get
5-0.
that in the next week or so?
Yep.
I'll come by there.
Just note, county administrator, can you keep up, and this is just total county funds that's being expended and where they're being expended at? I mean, including any 4-year road plan funds that still have balances on them, along with, because I think we're starting to go ahead and dig into this bond money. So can you go ahead and start keeping a tally of where county funds are being spent, the amount and where they're being spent, so that when we do get to that point to where we say which district has county funds now, not state aid, but county funds, we'll know. We'll know how much has already been spent, and that way we'll know how much will be allocated, per district.
All right, we'll look forward to getting that information. Before we move to the next, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mr. President, that information should also be provided for how much money is being spent on other items too. Not just on roads, but what is being spent on bridges, what is being spent on county lake, what is being spent on everything.
Blackjack,
Not just-
Longview.
Yeah, Blackjack,
Yeah, all of that, yeah.
Okay.
The previous federal funds that has came in, been all of, yeah.
Yeah, well, you don't wanna turn down federal funds.
I didn't say we did, I just said we'll keep a tally
Well,
on
you
it.
go penalize a district.
I'm not
because
penalizing anybody. I
Because
said
they
let's
got,
keep a
because they
tally.
got a gift, oh, come on
All
now.
right, so to move forward, I did want to go ahead and announce that Pickering Engineering is not going to be able to come today. So we're going to reschedule them for the next board meeting and also get Mr. McCurcher here at the same time, because he wasn't able to come either from MDEQ. So I do want to announce to the public, and if anybody wants a copy of the report prior to, I'll be glad to email it to them. So we will take Pickering Engineering off of the agenda for today. We will move forward with Cook Allen Engineering. Morning.
You good?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm good. Oh, you ain't coughing, you're good.
That's right. Well, I appreciate y'all letting me get on the agenda, and, I think most of y'all kind of know of me for about 15 years with Clyde. I'd already submitted a company resume that, you know, kind of, I just tried to clearly dictate our skill set. And I hope all y'all had time to review that. And, really, I just want to offer whatever the county needs out of me or my company. I'm here to offer that. So with that, I mean, I know y'all running a little bit behind, so I'll just kind of open it up for questions, and I'll answer the questions the best I can. We'll go from there.
We certainly appreciate you coming to the board and wanting to serve like Tip-Off County. I think there probably will be a lot of interest. We will potentially be in the next short term putting out some type of something for a county engineer, so.
And I'd just like to add that, when I left Clyde, went out on my own, joined forces with Jimmy Cook, and, I have a little satellite office in Maven, in Marvell District, just in the edge of Tip Hall, right over Rock to Webster. But I've been helping out, Larry Pruitt in town, because I know Larry's trying to get the ball rolling. He don't have a lot of fun, so I've been helping him out, you know, doing some, I guess, pro bono work. And I'm glad to do it, because I live just north of Macon. That's my hometown. So I'm putting down roots. I want my tree to grow there. I tell everybody I see that as being a fertile field, and it needs to be plowed.
If you'd just like to run through real quick, your skill set, for the board, that would be great. We appreciate you coming.
Pretty much, when Clyde hired me in 2002, I had just come from Spring. I've been over there 5.5 years. Prior to that, I was in Doc. When I was Springers, I did most of the site development. I started about the time Clyde was exiting to form Pritchard Engineering. So I kind of took over some of Clyde's responsibilities, but we had another guy too, so we kind of split. So over there, I mostly did site development. We did, back when I was with Springer, I remember we did like 40 miles of road sealing. I remember that specifically. Pretty much just did a little everything: drilling, testing, inspections, surveying, engineering. And then when Clyde had a need for my skill set where he was at, I went to his house, talked to him. He pretty much offered me the job on the spot. We shook hands, and 15 years later, I, gained a lot of experience in that 15 years. But I mean, we just kind of chose different paths. So I went out on my own, and that's when I joined forces with Mr. Cook. I mean, I'm a little bit prejudiced, but I think he's the best surveyor in the state of Mississippi. He's been in 4 court cases, won all 4 of them. He's fixing to go to 5. I expect him to win number 5, because I'll be sitting in the audience. And as far as my skill set, I mean, it's still site development. I've been keeping up with the county dam, because I did do a little bit of legwork with that, with Clyde, on the slope repair. I think I helped prepare that cost estimate back in 16, I believe. And I just kind of, I've designed all kinds of stuff out on campus. I designed the helix. When the water line that went to the helix, with directional board, a 14-inch water line under the roundabout. So it's like 20 foot deep. I mean, that's just kind of neat to me, because they had like a stick of pipe, 800 foot long, that went under that roundabout. And steadily, when I've been on my own, I've just steadily been increasing my skill set. And I dare say my real good skill set is ADA compliance. The ADA book, I've read it from cover to cover. I dare say I'm one of the top people in the state on ADA compliance regulations, and me and Ms. Farmer spoke the other day for a little while, and I told her, I said, you know, that's one of my real strong.
Americans with
skill sets.
Disability Act, correct?
Yes, under 2010 edition. And I told her, what I would like to see is do like a countywide assessment. Any county building, come in, look at the outside, inside, make sure everything is 100% compliant. Because if it's not, if it's 99%, and Mr. Robinson can probably attest to this, they can nail you on that 1%. And there's lawyers out there that are, and not, I mean, not taking a shot at lawyers, but they're just out there looking. If somebody has a bar that they can't get in a building, that's all they need.
I've got a question. You mentioned about the county lake and you were sort of familiar with it.
Mhm.
And I know this is not part of that project, but you know, on the north end, there's a dam that goes across that separates. How important do you think it is to have a operational control valve? Because it feeds into the larger lake. And right now, that control valve is seized up and rusted out. And so how important would you think it would be to have an operating control valve to be able to control that section of the lake in case you have an emergency and need to try to drain the main portion?
You talking about that little upper lake?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it'd be very important, because the way I would look at it from a, you know, and I'm sure I ain't gonna speak for Kristen, but from the emergency management standpoint, if you did get that deluge of that 500-year, 1,000-year event, you could lock down that structure, that upstream structure, lock that down and flood that much, take up that much capacity out of that storm while your big lake is filling up, it's discharging, even if it builds up and discharges over the emergency, let it do what it's gonna do, but give it a little breather with that smaller lake. And, you know, even if you flooded out some houses upstream of there, that would be better than, you know, overtopping that dam.
But I wanted to ask that because I think the board has been zeroed in on the main portion and actually hadn't looked
I
at the
feel like
entire.
I feel like they work in concert, and especially, are you still living downstream of the dam?
Mhm.
I mean, if one of my supervisors lived downstream of that dam, you know, basically, I'm gonna take the position that you're my brother, and I'm gonna protect you at all costs, and if it means, you know, replacing that valve, let's replace it and do what we got to do to protect you, anybody else downstream, and, you know, protect the enjoyment of the citizens of Oklahoma County to utilize that lake. I mean, I hate to ride by that lake now and just see it basically being a little duck pond, and all those people built those piers on dry ground. That just, I mean, I feel for them, because I could be that person that's sitting out on that deck, you know, looking at turtles crawl through the mud instead of swimming in the water. So
I just wanted to make sure that we're looking at the entire picture and what smart money would be. You know, that road is getting ready to be paved, so I would say smart money would be to go ahead and handle that now instead of waiting to get a road paved and then going
I
back
would.
and cutting the dam and having to try to replace it. But
I mean, and backing up a little bit,
And this valve is underneath where we just did the boring and stuff? Is that where you're talking about this valve?
It's the one up, well, north of it.
the
Oh,
north,
okay.
it's a little east-west road. I'm not sure what.
the east-west road.
I'm not sure what the
And
name
that
of the road is.
section of that lake north,
Oh, okay.
that's what it is.
It's kind of like a sub-catchment to the big lake.
Oh,
But, I mean, you know, the short answer is yes, they work in concert, and I would utilize every bit of storage I could, wherever it come from. And I was just gonna back up and say, back when I was with Clyde, there was when this county dam stuff first come up, there was a question of who owned the spillway and all the cutoff structure. So, I mean, I was just too busy, so we hired Mr. Cook to do the survey of the lake to see where the 16th section line was at. And come to find out, the school board, the actual control valve for the spillway is on the school board's side of the line.
That's interesting.
I believe that may be 16th section. So what I would, to alleviate that, I mean, that needs to be in y'all's control, which I understand y'all is the underlying bed from the school district, but still, you don't wanna be fussing when you got 50-inch rain staring you down. But if y'all chose, I could help design this, but if y'all could get the school board just to sell y'all a little parcel where that control valve is, to where Oktibbeha County can say, okay, let's open the valve, let's close the valve. And, you know, school board's out of it, but they have the rest of the 16th section to raise revenue, pay for the schools and all that. So that, I would highly recommend that. And then that would put it all under y'all, the operation of that lake, water level, under y'all's control.
Well, we certainly appreciate. Anybody else have any other questions for Mr. Allen? I think, today you even talked about the ADA, you know, often when we think about, engineering, we think just roads. But I think that that's just another thought process as we were thinking what all a county engineer could do, moving forward, you know, for a comprehensive plan and things. We were really limited in our thought process to maybe what we need. So I certainly appreciate your, presentation today. Can I get a motion to acknowledge Mr. Allen's presentation?
Second.
Did you have something else you
I
want
was
to say?
just gonna say, y'all got my contact information in that resume. If y'all think anything after the meeting, y'all email me, call me, whatever, and I'll be glad to address if
Thank
I
you so
can.
much.
And if I can't address it, I'll find somebody that can.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Thank y'all.
All right, now we're gonna move forward to the road manager's report. Mr. Baggett?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You do. You got this one.
Well, let me finish everything. I'll get out of the way right here on the.
Are we ready to move forward with the trucks at this time?
Can we have some discussion about that first? I think there's been some things that Attorney Roberts wants to share with us.
All right, did y'all get the email from, the gentleman, that, is it Warner, that didn't get the
So the low bidder was the one that was contacted, I know, me and probably others, because he actually, I'll just start the conversation. He actually, was the low bid, and during the bid process, he followed all the guidelines by giving a delivery date. Those bids were, what, 16,000 less per truck? 26?
Yeah, it was something like that, either 13 or 16.
$16,000 less per truck, and he actually gave a timeline for delivery. The group that came to us last time that is now saying they can deliver the trucks, that was 16,000 more per truck, did not follow the full bid process, because they did not give a timeline during the bid. You know, they didn't do the whole thing. So this would be a legal question for our attorney. They feel like that because the other group, we're thinking about going with a higher bidder, that at the time didn't fall in compliance of what online bid required. And so they have reached out to us to see if that is actually legal, and now have given a deadline, a second deadline for these trucks, because the first deadline would have been as soon as you wanted them, but now because we didn't accept them, any of the bids on any of the trucks to start off with, they've given another deadline. You wanna talk to us about those?
Before you do, Attorney Robinson, is that something that you became aware of?
Yes, they emailed me right after our, well, I say right after, it was bumping Christmas, to be honest with you. But I've tried to send everything out to you guys and let y'all kind of see it, but the basis of it is that they felt like they had turned in the right information, and their timeline was based on, from the conversation we had, I actually talked to him on the phone, was based on worst case scenario. And he said, you know, he feels like their company's being punished because they gave a worst case scenario timeline, and he said the other company is whatever name of the other company was, didn't even put a timeline on it, and he says, we're being punished for giving a timeline. And I said, and I asked him, I said, would you please put this in an email form so that I can at least kind of keep track of what you're talking about here. And the basis of their situation is that, you know, they feel like they're being punished for actually plugging in dates. He said, we were cheaper, we followed your rules, and then on top of it all, we gave you a worst case scenario. He said, we feel like we've been, you know, more than honest about how this would proceed. He said, we don't feel like that the other company gave you the correct information, and is basically trying to they call in and say, hey, we can get this to you beforehand. And he said, we could have done the same thing. He said, this was not something that could have been done. We were just trying to follow the rules and make certain that we were giving a worst case scenario. And he says, we just feel like this was not fair. So I told him, look, we have not made a decision on this. This was tabled because of certain aspects of the contract and whether or not they could actually move forward with it. I said, I will present this to the board whenever it comes back and let you know. I said, have you reached out to Mr. Baggett? He said, well, I think we told him basically this, but maybe maybe he's misinterpreted what we've said.
Have you asked audit about this, because it wasn't online and it's a contract? You know, when we contract with that online company, there is very detailed. I just want to make sure we don't get us in trouble for doing something because we didn't follow through with what the contract says. You know, and on the contract form, it did say that they had to give dates. I know we don't have to go with the low bid.
Mr. Baggett, what was your recommendation solely based on delivery time?
It was.
Okay.
I mean, that's all it was based on. I did talk to the man from B.O.S, and the last conversation we had, well,
And that's
You just
all.
couldn't
I'm
deliver
just
it.
saying.
that's right, and he, you know, all this other, when all the bids came in, no one contacted the road department as far as, salespeople, sales reps were concerned. Truck Works was the only one, and my only, affinity for Truck Works is the time when they can deliver the trucks, that's it. I mean, and this other guy, the last thing I told him was, because he sent me a letter telling me when he could deliver. Then he called me back after the last board meeting saying he could deliver them soon. And we had this back and forth, and I frankly told him, well, I just don't believe what you're saying.
So you feel like there's some wishy-washiness going on with this other company? Is that a fair assessment?
If I'm not gonna get in trouble for saying it.
Well, listen, it is what it is. If they can't produce what you think they can produce, that's an issue.
And I pretty much told him, that's what I told him. And I didn't know if he was gonna call the board or not, but I figured he might. But I haven't spoken to anyone about trying to garner support or anything. All I want is that when the time comes to go to work on the trucks, doesn't matter who they come from. I know you gotta consider the legal ramifications, but from the road manager's standpoint, that's my only concern. I mean, I have known.
Well, here's my concern. It was my concern to start with. If we don't get a timeline from in the contractual basis, because that was a requirement, and we've got one company that claims that they gave us a timeline. We've got another company that did not give us a timeline, but however gave you the proverbial, hey, we can get it to you when we can get it to you and as quickly as possible. But they didn't put that in writing. None of that was put in writing. What we're gonna end up with is an open door for the company that did not get this to suggest that we're not fairly treating them in the contractual obligation.
Can you reach out to audit and get this clarified? And then,
I
I hate to
know.
table this 2 more weeks, but could we get this
Well,
clarified?
they
Would that be okay?
I don't wanna be involved in any situation where.
I understand.
Well, it's just simply because it was a contractual agreement on the bidding process, and they did feel like that they did it fully.
And did they ever send you clarification of the contract claiming that they could get it to you beforehand? Because I didn't see.
No, what they did was they sent me, after I spoke with the man from, B.O.S, is that what you said?
Right, one of them.
Okay.
You're in the same boat I am. I don't know either one of them or either one of them.
He then sent me a letter stating when they could get it. I told him at that time, I said, now, there's a company that can get it to us sooner. I said, and as far as my recommendation is concerned, I'm gonna go with them, because they can get it sooner, and then that was it, so they came with.
So he knew beforehand that that was a company that could get it.
Yeah, I told him.
But one put it in a contract, the other didn't. And therein lies my issue. There was nothing in that contract for the gentleman that presented this, Trucksworth, where, and here
The
again,
winning
I don't
bid,
know.
we'll say the winning bid.
The winning bid, that's the best way to put it, because I don't know either one of them. Honestly, I don't know either one of them.
But in the email, the winning bid said that, by July 22, the bid that was $16,000 more per truck said proposing 90 days or 150 days. But this was not in the actual bid, this is in an email after.
Right.
And both of them sent me an email out, both about Burroughs and,
Truckworks was on the 21st.
That's 90 days on the first truck.
that's right.
And 150 days on the second.
And I received emails after the bid and everything from both, Burroughs and Truckworks.
Can we just get clarification? Would it be okay with the board if we table this and just get clarification that audit's okay with this? Because
Yeah.
it's not the low bid, and then it wasn't maybe under the contractual agreements. And before we do something that could, get us in trouble, would that be okay that we have the attorney reach out? Can we table this for 2 more weeks? Is that okay with the board?
That'd be fine.
What's your recommendation, Attorney Robinson?
Better safe than sorry. I mean, let's just reach out, find out what audit says. But during that time, and if you will do this for me, reach out to both of them. If they will lock down a number and put it in their contract, that's different than sending us just an email saying we're gonna do something. And my issue is not, I don't care when they say they're gonna do it. It's when they actually do it is in what they're contractually obligated to do.
Right.
That's been my hiccup with this from the beginning is, we've all bought cars and nothing to be ugly toward car salesmen, but I've been told everything under the sun whenever I was gonna buy a car, and the day later after I bought it, things changed. So the reality is, we just need to make certain that whatever's in the contract is what we are agreeing to and that we have a complete understanding. And in fairness to the company that called themselves, whether they were or not, called themselves plugging in a worst case scenario, be fair to them, because he had a little righteous indignation when I talked to him on the phone. He felt like he was being ignored or being treated unfairly, even though he felt like he had plugged it in what was required. And I get that. So I want to make certain that we're being fair, but we're also not being abused and deceived in how we approach this.
So question to you, Robin, and I'm asking, is there anything, because the bids have already come and gone, is there anything that they're gonna be able to say or add to this contract that would give us peace? I mean, or legally, how can they?
If they had plugged in.
Well, the low bid did plug in.
Right, the low bid did.
During the live thing, he plugged in his date.
Okay.
The higher bid,
Did not.
that was 16,000 more, did not. And so that is his thing, is that he actually was under the contractual agreement that was one of the requirements. And I think we can get that because that's sent to us from the company that does the online bidding, reverse auction bidding. And that was part of his, that a timeline was to be given during that reverse auction bid, and he did do that.
Let me ask you this then. How long was his bid good for? Because he's saying now he gotta bump it down the road
Well,
60 days. I mean,
I think his bid would be the same from the conversation I had, but you make a good point
the
for
bid,
both of them.
bid and the time. I mean, if he said he can do it, whatever
Then
the
wouldn't that
time.
mean we need to put it back out for reverse auction again, to be fair again? I mean, I'm just, if it's not good for one, it's not good for the other.
We're gonna need these trucks soon, don't we?
So we can get them, but now, I don't wanna be gone from Tippecanoe County 10 years from now and they call me, I'm gonna just sit on the stand and testify, you know, I'd really gonna get it straight, I don't have any problem.
I think 2 weeks is not gonna make a difference one way or the other for us on this. I'll find out, you and I need to get together and make certain I'm understanding
Right.
what the deal is on both ends.
But either his bid was solid for 45 days or whatever it was, time and everything included. If he's got to change his time and his bid is not, and the bid time is not up, then it's the same thing.
I think his bid would probably be the same, it'd be the when the vehicle would be able to be brought, and to his point, and to the other company's point, if you're holding stock, you don't know when that stock's, especially in this time frame. And I think they're both sitting, I don't see that either one of them are gonna be any differently situated with getting the supply in, the
They
vehicle.
won't.
And so, from
Based on
my
what I said.
standpoint, I wish they had both plugged in the information required on the front end, and we wouldn't be having this conversation regardless of which one we pick. We are allowed to pick the one that is in our best interest. That being said, we can't pick the higher bid of something that is of like bid. In other words, if it's the same basic product,
Lowest and best.
right, it's lowest and best. And you've got to be able to articulate what the meaning of best is. And if that is because they can get it to us faster, that can be best. Or if it's just a better product and we trust it more, that is a different dynamic. So, and some of this I'm gonna leave in your hands, because I don't know. I don't know either one of them.
The issue with the trucks, I mean, the quality of the trucks,
Basically
those
the
are
same.
those are type trucks we have now.
You need the truck rolling come spring.
Yeah, but anyway, let's do it.
We'll get together and move
Yeah,
forward.
okay.
Okay, thank you. Everybody's got the road management report. I need a motion to acknowledge and accept.
Yeah, can you provide Mr. Carpenter, that's the conversation we just had, I think you were in the room, and Mr. Pritchard, he was kinda upset, and I don't know whether he's gonna help us a lot because of that. So can you provide Mr. Carpenter with the necessary information he needs to move forward with that grant project?
Yeah, just, I mean, if all he needs is an estimate of the road cost, I mean, I can do that. I plan to meet with him tomorrow too. I guess he had meetings set up with both of us, or maybe mine was canceled,
And
which
if
is
it was
fine.
my understanding, I think he just said he needed something kind of rough. It didn't have to be exact. He just needed a
It's just a simple cost estimate.
roundabout.
I'll take the state aid unit prices and come up with a cost estimate. and
Are
give
you
it to
doing
him.
it for DBST, or are you doing it for a payroll with stripes?
Well, either way, it's gonna be with stripes. I think it should be
So
with
he's got
stripes,
this.
but
Okay, just making sure.
we can do an alternate, we can do two, and whichever one he wants to do. Of course,
I think I like that.
Shoot for the stars. We may get something lower.
Don't make it too cheap, though, but that road is something that we want to last for a long time. And we are having problems out there with the base of that road.
Yeah, I'm
The
gonna
base
do,
is pitiful, and the drainage is pitiful.
do
So
it.
don't go too cheap on this, especially as a gift, anyway, so.
Yeah.
And Supervisor, would you wanna bring up the creek that's in your district while we're, really quickly, that's been asked, and has the board received pictures on all of that? This is a creek that's in Supervisor Williams' district, and I'm not sure if it would be something that the Tom Digby or we can do, but it's got octop water line is going across it, and it has severe debris behind it. So have you had a chance to look at that?
I have,
And how far off the road is that?
it looks like it's about 150, 200 feet.
Would that be easily accessed? Could we get in there with a track hoe and get that cleaned out? Is that something we can do, Attorney Roberts?
Does that affect the road? Yes or no? If it's a yes, we can. If it's a no, we can't. Does it affect our road in any way, shape, or form?
It doesn't affect the road unless the water line rusts, because it's a main,
What does,
right?
does have, it doesn't,
It's a creek.
it doesn't creek, go towards
And we have a creek going towards the road.
So
it is, interfering with water flow. It's coming
If
towards
it
the road.
interferes with, if it will interfere with the roadway and could cause a problem with our road, we are allowed to go in there and clean off. Now, we need to have easements and we need to have
That's right.
that, but
Does
if
does
it is
interfere?
not.
I mean,
I
the
want you to
roadman-
keep in mind that the water is traveling from north to south. And the debris is on the north side of the road.
I guess
North side of the pipe.
we
North side
have
of the
given
pipe.
our roadman the chance to respond, does it interfere with the road or not? I mean, that's all it's really based on. That,
Can you check on that too?
Well, I
Wanna
need-
table that
if-
until
We need
next?
to table that if there's some question as to whether or not it does.
Well, I think it's been asked of the board before, and I will tell you, right there behind Grand Oaks, we had the same issue because it's the same type of pipe that runs across before that bridge. And we didn't take any action on that. So if you'd like to have the attorney check on that, we've all got pictures. We can check on that before the next board meeting as well.
If I could, I want you to keep in mind that when debris starts to form like that, it's not gonna stop.
That's right.
Other debris is gonna continue to come downstream. If we don't remove that in a couple more months, either less than a year, we really gonna have a bigger problem with the flow of water at that location. So either we do it now, as a type of thing, we either do it now or we do it later, but we will have to do it somewhere down,
I can check with you.
somewhere in the future.
And you could say that if the pipe hadn't caught the bridge, the cover, would
There you go. It would have caught under the bridge.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll cover
It
it.
would, if the cover, I mean, it's a big, I don't know if all of you have seen it, but it's a lot of
Have
debris.
you got the picture?
So if the pipe hadn't caught it,
Logged up, I see that.
the cover would have caught it. And it
Whose
would've
property?
been-
Whose property, whose property on?
It's off Robinson Road, isn't it?
It's on Moore High Road.
Okay.
On Moore High Road, it's that first bridge, it's the first bridge on Moore
It's
High
actually,
Road.
it's actually a box cover.
Yeah,
Mhm.
on Moore High Road.
I mean,
Who, you know whose property on it?
it's simple.
Yeah, it's
It's a simple.
Water system.
Attorney Robinson.
Rural water, up to the Hall County, up to the Hall rural water.
Attorney Robinson.
Yes, sir.
This is a simple matter.
Oh, okay.
Either there's a finding that
I don't
that
know.
is interfering with the road, or not, and if it is, let's vote to.
This body
to take care of it.
determines that.
What?
It's interfering with the road. I mean, if it
Okay,
breaks.
well,
Then that's it.
that's good enough.
Thank
I
you.
motion that we
Second.
allow our roadman to go in and fix it.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Howard,
Yeah.
second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
On that same note, can you do this, and I can't find I went looking as far as I could before I got turned around. Going down Bluefield Road, that, you know where the new power, you know, that powers Cornerstone? That ditch right there is backed up. It usually is not, but it's backed up. I mean, it's obvious something's clogging it up. And I even had the gentleman, I can't think of his name, called from Tom Bigby, and he looked, and he has not got back with me yet. But it may be just something simple, a little mini excavator to go in here and undo. But it's flooding Miss Peggy Rogers out, so
This is
you know
off
what
of
was
Robinson
happening.
Road, about a mile west of Moore
I have
High.
one too, I'll send the information to you that you can look at.
Well, on that same note, I've got a cross drain.
Okay.
It's not interfering with the road, but it's dumping water straight down through this lady's yard, and it's created a ditch, and it stays wet, and she can't mow. So that's a problem that the county created across her yard.
That's true.
Can we go in and fix it?
I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll make a motion on both of those to go look at both of those and find a solution too.
Yeah, on Harold Road, I don't have but it's Donnelly's mother's house, right across from that church.
Okay, so this motion is to go and look at two issues that's on private property.
Add
To come up with a solution that's creating a problem, and Mr. Baggett to come back with pictures, so we're in legal.
Add a
So,
third one to that.
we got a third one.
I'll
This one is
amend my
on,
motion to.
Osborne Road Bridge.
The problem is
Osborne
the county
Road.
created the problem.
On the paved part.
That's different.
Right,
Up under the railroad trestle
Yeah.
that we see.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
probably familiar with that already.
all right.
So can we list the three roads, for attorney to put in his notes?
Bluefield Road.
Bluefield Road,
Osborne Road Bridge paved part.
Osborne Road,
And Harold Road.
and Harold Road. And these are all issues on private property, but seem to be flooding issues created by the county. Mr. Baggett is going to go assess them, do pictures, send all that information back, and come back with a report so we can, move forward if appropriate. Let you see it ahead of time.
All right, make certain that we talk before the next board meeting so that you can get approval or whatever we need to do.
And there was a motion made to do that by Supervisor Montgomery, and it was seconded by Supervisor Howard. All in favor to have Mr. Baggett do this and bring it back, 5-0.
Madam Chairman, I got one culvert installation request. if I
Yes, sir.
can submit
Okay.
that now. Install a culvert for Dennis Simmons at 641 16th Section Road.
Second that.
Got a motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Montgomery. Did you get that order, 641,
16th Section Road. Dennis
16th
Simmons.
section road,
Dennis,
Simmons,
Dennis Simmons.
S-I-M-M-O-N.
All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Anyone else? I have 3 culvert requests. A Mr. Williams, 1321 Gray Road.
So moved.
Second that.
Got a motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Williams. All in favor? I have another one, 8014 Craig Springs Road. Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Trainer. All in favor? And I have a third one. I don't have, an address on this. I will tell you that it's on Longview Road now that we are doing road constructions. It's the Massey's have a gap right there. And they used to could just pull off the road when they were hunting on their property, but now they can't get to it and they'd like a culvert put in. So it's on the Massey's property, a pasture with a gap, a gate already. They would like a culvert put in, and I can give you the phone number to that. That's my motion. Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Trainer. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I have a covered,
Okay, yes, sir, go ahead.
Mr. President. I have a covered request, for the replacement of a damaged covet on Bethesda Road at the intersection of Dock and Bethesda, that is causing that whole road, Bethesda Road, to flood out. The covet is damaged, we have a hole in it, and it's stopped up. And the third thing is that covet is too small for that location because a large body of water is coming downhill at that location.
it's the intersection of Bethesda and
Dock.
DOC.
DOC.
DOCK.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor? Passes 5-0. Anything else from board members? Can we get a motion to acknowledge, the road manager's report,
But
please?
I would just
Oh, I'm
like to
sorry.
tell Mr. Baggett, I appreciate him memorializing the 2 road employees that passed away this year, in your road manager's report. I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you, Supervisor Howard, for that comment.
I want to thank you for all the work that you have done, for us and with the county for 2021. Thank you for your service. I think you've done, for as I'm concerned, an outstanding job.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Williams, for that. Any other discussion? All in favor to acknowledge the report?
I need a.
Oh, motion, I'm sorry. Who made the motion? You?
So moved.
Second by.
Trainer and Williams, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for putting up with me.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What if a former employee, says that he left something at the shop? I think he probably did. How do I go about, can I give that to him if it's not on the inventory? And I've checked the inventory, it's not on it. It's a table. It's a metal table.
Oh, I know what he's talking, can I share about that? Okay, so this was, Mr. Oswald, years and years ago. They were still a unit system, but he actually had a iron table built for the shop in the shop bay, a big iron table. And he is now wanting to get that table back. There's a saw that sits on it. He told us who built the table. I don't know that there's anybody around, but he would like to have his table that he paid for back. And it is a metal table that's in B shop. He took me down there. I think Mr. Baggett has talked to him about it. Discussion on that.
If it's his table, it's his table, it's not our table, so.
And we've searched the inventory, it's not on the.
Okay.
I do have a question, on that. You said that they were in the beat system?
They
then?
weren't at the beat
They
system.
were in the
Yeah,
unit
he
system.
just had.
So he paid for it out of his pocket?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good enough.
Okay. All right, do we-
Spend county funds?
I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion on that, just because might be questionable. This table belonged to David Oswald. He was a supervisor for many years. He paid for the table for the shop. He'd like to have his table back. I'd like to make the motion, because he paid for this out of his own pocket, that he receive his table back. Second, I made the motion from the chair, Supervisor Williams. All in favor?
I'm gonna say
Motion
nay.
passes.
I'm gonna say nay.
Sorry?
I'm gonna say nay.
You're gonna say no? Okay. Supervisor Trainer said no.
For the
on that.
simple fact is that,
I'm just wondering if you,
Why is he
why
want-
would you pay?
How long is this?
If you needed something
we
for
won't
the
have nothing.
county?
Well, wait,
we won't have nothing if folks don't come and get stuff.
Well, I mean, that's the reason I brought it to y'all. There's no way, I don't know.
I mean, it ain't no, it really ain't no issue with me, but I'm just.
He said he contacted Miss Emily before she retired too about the table that
Why
he
wouldn't
wanted
he
to
just
buy.
take the county funds and pay for it?
so why would we go
So he said, David Oswald's table, or?
It's David Oswald's table. He had it built and put it in the shop. He
Now-
was the
As a
supervisor.
You know, that's something, and I'll say that
That's a little different. I
You know,
thought-
Okay.
I voted against it, but if it hadn't come to the table, it wouldn't have made me no difference at all. If y'all follow what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, I am asking the,
But I know.
I would like to table this and let me check into it.
okay, motion, we're gonna
rescind mine.
rescind that motion until we get clarification on that. Okay, anything else, Mr. Baggett?
No, ma'am, that's all.
Thank you. All right, moving forward, Ms. Livingston?
Thank you, Ms. Bagley.
The only thing we have no CD for the month of December, I need to acknowledge that, and the funds remain the same as citizens.
Motion acknowledged to acknowledge no CDs by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor? Passes 5-0.
And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. County business?
You have
Ms.
the
Farmer?
payroll changes in your package for approval.
Make motion to approve.
Supervisor Williams, Supervisor Montgomery, second. All in favor for the payroll changes? Passes 5-0.
Have the 2022 holiday calendar scheduled for approval.
I make motion for approval.
Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Williams. All in favor? 5-0.
Have second quarter budget allocation for the sheriff, the jail, and the tax office.
Motion for
Supervisor
approval.
Williams, Supervisor Montgomery, seconded. All in favor? Greenhouse Solutions, invoice, $2,282. Need a motion, Supervisor Howard?
Yeah, I'll do that. Question, we can use ARPA money to pay, we can use COVID relief money for this. I think we said we do.
I think that was exactly correct.
We gotta get him.
Seconded by Supervisor Montgomery. All in favor?
Start spending this money.
All in favor? Passes 5-0.
Trying to save something.
School bus turnaround on John Walker
So
Road.
moved.
Trainer, and then Williams, second. All in favor? Passes 5-0. Credit card charges, 886.
Motion.
Supervisor Williams, Supervisor Montgomery seconded that. All in favor? Passes 5-0. Claims docket.
Motion for approval?
Second.
Got a motion by Supervisor Montgomery, second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? 4-1. Anything else, Ms. Farmer?
You got it?
Oh, sorry.
Who seconded that?
Howard,
Howard? Wait.
I think, right? That last one?
Howard.
Howard, yes. Okay, we have the board attorney, we have, from you?
Really quick, I'd like permission to, there is a road that needs to be looked at for the purposes of determining whether or not on the plat, we either need to get a survey or somebody needs to go out and look at it, but it's Kings Way, it's, in Colonial, what's the name of that subdivision, Colonial?
Heritage Colony.
Heritage Colony, I'm sorry, Heritage Colony, and I actually went out there and looked at it, and there was actually 2 mistakes made according to, Mr. Langston, the man I met out there. One of the mistakes has been rectified. Toby went out there and the extension of that road, when it was accepted by the county has already gone out there and cleaned off this area, and I can actually touch a base, a tar base that's underneath that road. Mr. Langston claims, and honestly it makes a lot more sense what he's saying, that the road was accepted by the county in '73, I believe.
To the plat line.
To the plat line. And that plat line is about, and I'm not great with distances, but it looks to me to be about maybe 50, 60 feet. It's not that much, especially whenever you're standing there looking at it, it's really not that much. And I went out there with a shovel and tried to find the base on it. Well, I couldn't find the base. Now that could be because it's a low-lying area, and y'all, we've got 30 years of dirt that has built up. And I may have just not been strong enough to dig down in there to find the base. However, from what he has said, back when Mr. Templeton, to give y'all a little history, Mr. Templeton was one of the builders of that subdivision back there, and whenever it was accepted, the issue for us is if it was accepted on the plat line and it went back to that spot where they're talking about, then it's ours. It's our road. The flip side is also true. If we didn't accept it and it wasn't on that plat line, back to that extra 50 feet, then we didn't accept it. So the issue is pretty simple. We either accepted it to the plat line or we didn't accept it to the plat line. Now, the problem is when you go back 30 some odd years for board orders, good luck. However, I need to have somebody, either Toby, if Toby can do this, I'm gonna get Toby to do it. But if he can't, I'm gonna have to have either an engineer, somebody to go in there at a survey to look at this and determine whether or not the rest of that road is ours. So I need permission to do that.
So, Rob, my question is this, if you gonna need an engineer, that's county, right?
It's county.
So what are you gonna do?
What's wrong?
The issue is gonna be whether or not I can find a surveyor to do it, well, first of all, let me start with here. If Toby can do it, that's what I'm gonna do, because Toby will be able to. Now, Toby called himself already fixing his mistake. Now, let me back up. When I say mistake, it wasn't a mistake. When you went out there originally, it had grown up so bad, heck, even 20 years ago, it had grown up out there. But the issue is going to be, when Toby went out there to determine where our roads were, he just went ahead and, since it had grown up around it, assumed that the road stopped, and I can understand why, because it was.
A lot of people dump stuff back there.
Oh, it was a mess back there, y'all. Well, back in the day, there were a lot of things that happened back at the end of that road. We won't get too deep into what occurred on the end of that road, but the reality is that road did extend back. It's just grown up over the years. So to answer your question, either Toby needs to answer this question for me, or we're going to have to get a more professional.
Because I've got this exact same request in Maven. There is a road that once was a road, they said. Now it's more or less a driveway that's a dead end. But they said that it is still on.
If we didn't abandon it, it's ours.
Well, it's
Wouldn't
the
the
town
road
of Macon.
registry, wouldn't the road registry tell you that down to the foot?
No.
No.
It's your-
And what needs to happen is we need to go back and, when I go back and read and update our road register with the footage. Now, if the board, I don't have a problem with it, if we want that to become a maintained section of road, then spread on the minutes you can, however many
Yes, sir.
feet. I mean, I don't think you take, you can take
It's what,
50
It's
feet or whatever.
50 feet, I mean, we're not talking about a whole lot here.
However, I think the county has grown throughout the county, where we have some other places that need the same type of
We got,
attention.
we got some other roads.
You talking about the
that have been
911 road?
We have some
Well,
other
just-
roads
just-
that have been abandoned.
Abandoned, you got some that are county roads that have since been, developed a little bit further. And so it's just,
I
the
think an
county's just grown.
update would be very beneficial to us all the way around. I mean, I hate to say this, I wrote out there because whenever he was talking to me about it, I could not, for the life of me, get in my head how far 100, he kept saying it was maybe 200 feet. When I got out there, it didn't look like 200 feet. If I were guessing, this is about 50 feet from where I could touch my
Shovel.
maybe there's opinion on it too, you can get, I don't know.
There's an AG's opinion on just about everything.
Anything you want.
But the reality is that this is kind of a simple answer for me. Either we accepted it all the way to that plat, or we didn't. It's just figuring out whether or not we accepted it or not. And I wish to goodness that we had a more electronic way of pulling this stuff up, but it just didn't.
Well, and we found that in Sunnyland, when we were doing those roads, one extension of it, the property owner, the developer had it, that the county has accepted it, but it was nowhere on our records, and we ended up going back and putting that, Toby said, oh, well, you did, because there was a letter, but this is from the 70s.
Right.
I think it's like that, and probably all of these subdivisions have probably been developed within the last, I'm gonna say, 10 to 15 years.
I think that's
Every
probably
subdivision you
exactly
go back
right.
to,
Okay, let's,
older than 15
we
years,
acknowledge
have an
that
issue like that.
Attorney Roberts is gonna investigate this a little bit more and bring it to us.
Is it within that plat?
Okay, all right, anything else? Attorney?
That's all, that's, I think I'm done with it.
Okay, we think he's done. All right, supervisor business, we can go around the table and then talk about the ARPA funds if we'd like to. Supervisor Trainer, do you have anything?
My thing is, I'd like to make a motion, we, select LGSS for the ARPA administrator. That's my motion.
Okay.
Was they one of the ones that gave us the presentation?
Right, that's local government.
Oh, that's the 2% guy?
Any discussion about that? I personally was impressed with the Horn Group, would have been with the staff and what they had to offer. That would be my recommendation on it.
We need to hire somebody today.
So, any other
Do we
discussion?
need to handle it, I mean, I don't mind handling it in public session, but do we want to?
I don't think it's gonna, for one, executive session itself, we've had this thing for the longest, we didn't go ahead and do. And if we do get somebody else, then because it's services, we got a little negotiating power in it. If you wanna get Rudy, hey, they can come down to 2%.
What's wrong with getting,
I'm just saying,
I don't understand. We've been doing business with that agency all the time, and it seems like they've done an outstanding job.
Well, we got a motion on the table first.
Yeah.
But they didn't get no seconds though. Who you?
Anybody want to second that motion? It sounds like we're all split different ways.
I'm gonna go with the Golden Triangle Plan Development.
I'm a PDD.
Okay,
Okay.
well, my motion died.
That motion dies. Anybody else want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we get, Golden Triangle Planning and Development District to be our ARPA fund administrator.
Got a motion by Supervisor Montgomery, a second by Supervisor Williams. Any other discussion? All in favor? Passes 5-0.
5-4-1.
4-1, I'm sorry, 4-1.
And
That was easy.
it all boils down to this, and I know Warren gave a great presentation, and the other gentleman gave a great presentation. Don't have a problem with them getting involved somehow in this, but, I mean, this is somebody you can drive down the street and go talk to.
Who made the second?
All right, Supervisor Howard.
Yes. We've got the report from Pickering Engineering, the analysis on the dam. So, Attorney Robinson, what is our next step moving forward? Because the discussion was, we were gonna hire another engineering firm, let them do an analysis, report back to us, and upon, that was gonna be our guiding light as to proceeding with the, so what is our next step?
I want y'all to look over this, what it actually says, but I did speak with Pickering a few minutes ago. They were going to be here and present these findings to us. According to, Jeff, when I talked to him, he said the weather kind of threw a kink in them being able to get here. I'm trying to get them set up for the next meeting to present this to us, to understand what we need to do. My suggestion would be is during this time, between now and then, look over this thing, make sure that we at least have whatever questions we wanna ask, but on the date that we come back, we need to be kinda ready to know what we're going to do next, whatever that is. That being said, I'm not asking for anybody to know 100% anything, because we're having them come to us and talk. But I'm pretty sure that they're willing to speak to us individually or together, however we wanna do this, during this process. I'm gonna call them myself and ask them, these may be some dumb questions that an attorney asks, but the questions that, like, when you say that this is solid, what does that mean? Does it mean it's solid that we can move forward, or does this mean it's solid that we need to do some other stuff too?
Well,
I need to understand what we're talking about here.
Well, the reason I asked, that was some correspondence put out there that now it seems like it said it is safe, so now we've got time. That's not what it actually was. You gotta read,
Well,
you gotta
DEQ
read
is
from
not gonna allow us.
5.3 all the way through 6 and 7. So, my question is, upon them appearing before the board and presenting to us their findings, which it is automatically known that there has been stated that there's repair. The only question is whether we can build back on the core that's there, or if we need to start over.
Right.
This report sort of indicates that the core seems to be okay. There's a couple of things, just like you, that I want to ask you. They stated about the boring that the materials were
Soft.
hard. Well, one of them was hard to super hard, which I assume is good. But borings 11 and 7, I think, had some mushiness, and so I wanted to just get some clarity on that. But my question is this: what's our next step? What's our next step once we?
Well, let me be real clear on this. DEQ is gonna want a timeline, and they want this timeline this year. My understanding of their requirement for us is that we're gonna have to make some decisions. So, that being said, maybe we do get Mr. Templeton here
I would just,
to
you
make
know,
certain.
Mr. Templeton that wrote the report, I would ask that he come too. I know
I
Mr.
don't-
McCarter said
I don't
that
have
he
a
was.
problem who
Yeah.
comes, but
We
that's-
have 1 year.
Yeah, I want
We have
them to
one
be here
meeting.
because I read through the whole report and had, well, I mean, there were some, like Supervisor Howard just said, there's some things that make you think it's not as big a deal, then you read further, but it's some questions I just had for them that I don't know the answer to.
And I did the same thing. When I read it, I thought, well, this is good. Then I read on and I went, well, what does this mean?
And then they put stuff like, well, we can't guarantee that the space in between the drillings are good. You know, stuff like that. You would assume that the spaces between the actual boring sites are good. You would assume it. But then at the bottom, they said we cannot guarantee because so those are, I'm not questioning the report. I just want some clarity on the report.
I would be willing to bet y'all that an engineering firm's been sued for stating they knew exactly what was happening between borings, would be my bet. It probably had very little to do with whether or not it's good or bad or indifferent. It's probably to the fact that since they didn't do a boring every 2 feet, they
And I
can't
assume
state
that.
that. That's what I'm gonna
I
say.
think it's saying that there needs to be some excavation, basically digging down
Well,
in
and
there.
that was the one, y'all saw the email that I sent, and that was one of the questions that I asked, because it doesn't appear that that's bad material. but they want you to dig out some of it because they need the other material, the soils to bond together.
They
You know,
want
so-
5 feet of the existing material, if that's the route that we go with a repair, which means they want 5 feet of the existing material dug out and new materials brought in, but you've gotta bring it in so that the slope extends out to compliance on both sides.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm saying we're gonna get through this, my question
Yes, sir.
is, once we receive the report, what is our next step? Because the correspondence of, well, now we've got time to go, no, we agreed that we've gotta keep moving.
I think we know that, and I think Mr. McCurcher too, when I spoke to him this morning, he said after reading the report that there might even be some economical ways to use the soil that's already in the rock that's already, on the sides of the lake. So I think it's important, he said he'd be willing to come and share the most economical way to get in the standards with them, because the repair that Mr. Pritchard did in 2016, even though it doesn't meet the slope level, it's a 3-to-1, because we used rock right there, it helped.
That would be with whomever we contract with, you know. What we need, my question is, what is our next step?
We've got to
And
get in
to
here.
put it out for bid and then,
Get them here, explain
To your
the
point.
good, the bad, the ugly, and.
yeah, let's move. keep moving.
DEQ wants this off of their to-do list. My understanding is this year. I get that impression, and I have every intention of pushing us forward to make sure it's done simply because it needs to be off of y'all's to-do list. It just needs to be.
When we
And
get
I
that
don't
one off the table, this is gonna clear up room to do other things.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
And
Lots of
hey,
discussion
I
on
wanna
this
fix
last
it,
year.
but hey,
Can we make
maybe,
sure
maybe
on
we
this
got some
one
good
that
news in
we've
this,
got,
maybe it won't be as bad.
DEQ
Well, it's been
and,
determined that the
bring
slope's
in
gotta
maybe
be
Mr.
done,
Templeton on the
the
agenda for
spillway
next
is
time.
too small, the emergency
Thank
Too
you.
spillway.
steep,
Come on,
the
forgive
soil,
us.
it has eroded, they said.
They would need to develop a job description or start working on a job description for a county engineer. We don't have one.
You're right.
So I'll be glad to research and send out this week to everybody. There's a website that you can go to, that actually already has job descriptions out there for county engineers, so I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel. And I'll be glad to, if you'd like me to send that out to Ms. Farmer and everybody. And then pay scale, and I think today brought up some other things other than just, I know we want to move more as a unit system, a comprehensive plan. But I think when we talked about ADA compliance and things like that, we never even think of those types of things. So,
Road issues like what
yeah,
is on
or this road that there are, this could be a very positive move for us to have somebody on staff full-time.
I did want to say,
Ma'am?
I need to say one thing.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, he's going, I'm saying.
Mr. McCurcher would have been here today had I contacted him last week and confirmed this date. I want to be real clear, this was not because he didn't want to be here. This was because I didn't call him back. So this is on me that he's not here. But it actually worked out, I guess, to the best, because the weather kind of created a problem for him figuring to be here. So I don't want y'all to think that he didn't show up because he doesn't care. He didn't show up because I forgot to call him back and confirm it. So
Well,
I didn't want to.
and I do wanna say, this board has gotta get to the point to where we're not sitting here trying to cut down every engineer and nitpick across. We're not putting our hitmen in the audiences to sit here and down our engineers. We're here to get a report and move forward with whatever repairs it is. We've sort of been in the mindset of, I'm looking for a way to kill this project or not do this. We've got to get away from that.
Yes, sir.
But with the job description of the engineer, I would like to have opportunity that each one of these board members could have opportunity to make requests.
Oh,
To
sure.
share our particular need.
Oh, I think so.
Rather
I
than
think
going
just
with
send
standard.
out some, ones that are already written up to everybody, and then we'll come back to the table with that. I was just gonna I don't think we have to
Something to
reinvent the
start
whole
with.
wheel. Yeah, something to start with. If that's, I'll be glad to do that.
Good, thank you.
Ms. Farmer?
Quick note, the new building, the maintenance department, Daryl and I, we've gone down and looked at it. That building is big enough that I can actually comfortably get 4 entities in that, which would solve some other problems. I just need to know if you all support it, because DHS is definitely going, CPS is in the back part of DHS, so those two are the biggest, Child Protective Services. Extension is also going. We're able to put 2 entities at the front and 2 in the back. What I would love to do is to move the staffing of the school that's under the ball of 911. We can actually fit them in there. And then move 911, investigations out of that under, and put them under the 911 building. And then we can come back and have a conversation, bring major designs back, and move forward with, I'm thinking we're gonna demolish that. They can do a plan to construct, put justice on the bottom floor, county administration on the second floor. Each supervisor have their own office. We can build a totally new boardroom. This is too small. We can also frame it up for a 3rd floor room to grow, but we don't have to do it right now. That's my plan, and I just wanna know what the
So
board
moved.
thinking. Oh, perfect, that's all I need. That was easy.
The only
That's all I need.
amendment I would say is because we're gonna need an office for a county engineer.
I agree, but that.
And I would like him to be close to where the offices are, so I
But that
know
would
the
more-
911 building downstairs, downstairs, maybe leave an office space or somewhere down there for them too.
That building is chopped. I don't know if you all have actually been in that office.
Yeah, yeah.
It's chopped up and
It's
it's not
detailed
enough
for it, I
space.
mean.
I don't know what they have and how
Just
much.
over.
They probably gonna lose the space just going over, it's about the same. Yeah, so,
County engineer, I know, but y'all, we got county court coming too.
yeah, now that being said, that's gonna free up this space right here for a judge. We're gonna move out of this, but we're gonna have to move if we're gonna construct a new building.
Yeah.
That being said, I would like for, DA to go to the new building, make an office for an engineer, and then an IT person, because we have to hire a county IT person. Now, that's
So
my
what
plan.
would be your priority? IT person? That would be the number one
My
priority.
priority as county administrator is an IT person.
Okay,
Now, as the board, your agenda is different than mine,
I
of course.
understand.
But yes, so when you all are ready to bring major design back in, they're gonna have to pretty much scrap what they did, because that was being constructed for people that are now gonna be gone. So I just needed to okay and contact the school when they do open back up and say, hey, your staff that's under the bottom of that, we are going to relocate them down there.
Okay.
So if
Another
everybody's
great
okay
thing to
with
put
it.
on the potential county engineer thing that they can lay out design.
Yeah,
And I
so-
will say, if y'all approve to hire an IT person ASAP, I do have an extra office in the back in my office. So-
That you can house an IT person?
Yes.
where are we at on our new website?
Near there.
So, I called them, the holiday she called me, I didn't get back up with her. She was needing me to go around and get pictures, there was quite a bit of things she was needing me to do.
I thought we contracted with them to do all of that.
Mm,
The 30,000?
All this started happening just as the previous administrator she was in communications with them, so my communication was, we're gonna have to put a pause on it, cause I got some other things I got to do right now. And so now that things are kinda, now I'm contacting them today to get an update on that, but we need an IT person for stuff like that.
Now, another option would be, we had the group out of Mississippi State.
Right.
That we utilized to get us to that point.
Right.
And of course, that's somebody will still have to take the lead of that, but that's
Yeah.
really what it's gonna boil down is, in bringing in some assistance to kind of help us take on some of these things.
Well, we're gonna have to, because you can't keep pushing all this into our administration
Because
office.
we push it to her, and she come back and tell us, well, look, you need to get this person or whatever like that, we need to follow the recommendation, move on, now it's not gonna happen.
No, that's been part of some of the problems, y'all, that I see and that I see from her, 'cause, I mean, I have to beg and borrow to get their attention sometimes too. Having these new buildings and having the new things that we're talking about doing, this county has gotten huge. The responsibilities this county has,
Anytime it's
I'm blown away. If you had told me before I became county
What was
attorney
that?
what we would end up being involved with,
Indian
and you warned me.
I tried to tell you.
Y'all both warned me. I would not have guessed it, but we're gonna have to look into, especially when we go to build our new facilities, we gotta start pushing out 50 and 60 years in terms of what our planning should be, because nobody did that for us. Nobody.
And we're paying
We are paying for it dearly right now.
Last question,
Yeah,
because I'm ready to start programming some projects, I bond money.
okay,
It's here,
yes,
it's available.
yes.
So we need to go ahead on and get started, developing some programs, so I guess the next thing is we need to determine our amount. So we know
Exactly.
exactly.
So the building is paid for, Mr. Baggett, we're working on his equipment, once that's done, I can tell you what's left.
Okay.
And then we can move forward. And now that GTPDD is the opera administrator, we have a board order for the county lake.
Right,
to use.
correct.
Is it okay if I contact them and say, go
Absolutely.
ahead and start checking into the county lake dam project,
Yes,
because we have a board order in place?
Absolutely.
Okay.
One other thing I'd like for us to do before we,
You can't get no more California.
before we, spend any money,
I gotta catch you with the blackjack and the long.
before we split any money, I'd like us to consider allocating some money for the complete demolition and removal of that building over there that we're gonna leave. Because when we move out, we don't need to leave an eyesore over there.
Yeah.
I totally
We
agree.
need to demolish it.
Right. Folks, so I ain't think about moving back into it.
Well, no, not that, but it just don't need to be an eyesore. Felix, no. I think we need to allocate some money for that.
I agree,
It's too many.
I agree.
Because if we don't, what's gonna happen?
Somebody's
Someone
gonna
gonna
get
move, someone might move into it.
Somebody's gonna burn it down.
So I think before we split anything, I think we need to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
You know, that some of that needs to be set aside for that.
Good enough?
Good idea.
Once everybody moves out, I'll come back to the board and say, now it's empty, what do you wanna do, and we'll go from there.
And our administrator brought up the fact that, bringing back, the architecture,
Yeah,
Major.
Major.
major, yeah. I think it's wise to go ahead and start contact them and bring
Oh,
them.
I got a
back.
floor plan in my head, y'all just gotta give me the okay, I'll make it happen.
Now, that's not gonna be a cheap undertaking.
I know.
To demolish that and then remove all that off that debris off that site and clean that site up.
but you gotta do it before you do anything else with it.
I know.
Unless y'all would go ahead on to the building. I know we're not gonna do that.
No. But you got asbestos and stuff to worry about doing the demolition for sure.
The next board meeting is actually supposed to be on Martin Luther Day, which is Monday, so when would y'all like to 17th? So
That's holiday, isn't it?
yeah, it is a holiday, so
Tuesday.
we
Oh,
want to
well,
have it
Tuesday.
Tuesday, the 18th, y'all wanna do a 5 o'clock or a 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock, good.
Nah, good.
Well,
I'm
now,
retired.
You chairperson, chairperson. What's your
All
person?
right, President.
I think 9 is fine that day for me too, so.
Now, good for me.
9 it is.
All right, can I have a motion and we'll adjourn until that point?
Good job, Supervisor Miller.
Thank y'all, we're only 30 minutes behind.
I make a motion
And
to,
one thing, just to remind y'all,
Who
don't
seconded
forget
that?
that they're inducting Monica on the 17th at the Unity Park, so I'll love all the supervisors if they can be. I'm not sure on the time, but as soon as I get the time, I'll email y'all on that.
You seconded, right, the day?
They better. Supervisor Howard. I'll make sure.
All in favor, 5-0. We're good. Thank y'all.
Y'all, thank you.
I'm trying to get,
Hey, don't make it, guys.